All right, Adrian, thank you so much for taking your time out.
No, thanks
Really
for having
looking
me.
forward to this interview for my ego to take a bashing sitting next to this good-looking.
For my ego to take a bashing, you mean?
Jokes aside, so you have walked quite a journey, with this acting career, both in the local art film and Hollywood movie. And you also started your own theatre company, which we'll talk about, Pandemonium, with your wife Tracy, who is the artistic director, and you being the wingman. So welcome to the show.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So with every guest that I have on the interview, I always like to find out about their secret origins story. And I read that you were born in Malacca, in Malaysia.
Yes, I was, yes.
Yeah, how would you describe your childhood if you paint us a picture?
Goodness. My very vague memories of the first few years of my life in Malacca were, trips to the beach, fooling around with my older cousins, my granddad, who I'm told I was his pet, sitting on his pet dog. He's just sitting on his shoulder, going across the road to eat chicken rice. There's chicken rice balls, eating what my mum affectionately calls hikiao bihun.
What's that?
Hikiao.
Hikiao.
It's like some kind of thing,
Oh, okay.
some kind of dumpling noodle thing by the beach. It was a very happy childhood. Living in my grandmother's rather scary house, which was one of those old, long, deep houses, the shop house type things, with, I swear, the toilet from hell was in the back of the house in this no flushing system, and I was always terrified to have to go and take a dump in this toilet because it was dark, it was smelly as hell, and I was afraid, always afraid I was going to fall into into the literally the bowels of hell and be taken away by the man, the mysterious man.
So is it one of those wooden atap?
No, it was a shop house on Jonker Street, which is now very touristy and everything. Oddly enough, a few years ago, I was doing some filming in Malacca and decided to go and try and revisit this house that I grew up in. And I walked down this house and walked down this on Jonker Street and it's kind of vaguely familiar. It's all kind of coming back to me. And then I saw sitting at the gate of one of these houses, this statue of this little black boy, whom I remember as a child always being quite terrified of because it was a shop house. The business that was on the front of the house was an antique dealer, which had nothing to do with the household. They were just renting the front part of the house to conduct their antique business. And there was this statue of this little black boy with a cap in like a school uniform, kind of sitting there going, like that. It was sad. It just sat there for years, I swear. And not surprising because who would want to buy this statue of this boy like that and have it in the house? And this boy was sitting at the front of this house still. This is like, my goodness, 40 years later or whatever.
It's a statue back then.
A statue back then, 40 years later, it was still there. And I thought, oh my goodness, he's still here. This is the house I grew up in. So I knocked on the door. And this lady came out to the door and I said, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be creepy or anything, but I grew up here. I spent my first 4 years of my life in this house, and I moved away and I've come back, and I just thought if you'd be kind enough for me to visit, and come and take a look inside. And she said, yeah, okay. So I went in and it was all cluttered, and oh my goodness, God, it looks so different. I remember the staircase being over there, but it's over there now. Wow, it's amazing. And I went into the house, and God, everything's changed so much. Oh, wow, nostalgia. Thank you very much, Auntie. I went back, called my mom. Hey, Mom, I revisited number 5, Jonker Street. She said, why did you go to number 5? We lived at number 7.
And
So much for nostalgia.
but that explains the staircase.
Yeah, maybe.
Did you even went back to number 7?
No, I didn't. I didn't
Just
bother.
to, maybe be more nostalgic this time.
My little black boy was the
Yeah,
the
and
one that fooled
you
me.
were almost there. You were there till only 4. Is that what it is? And then you came to Singapore.
Yeah, and I moved to Singapore. And then I spent the rest of my time growing up in Singapore. Yeah.
And then ACS.
Yeah, I
and
went through the whole thing.
which primary is that? What was the system back
actually,
then?
I went to Cane Hill Primary School. Yeah, Cane Hill Primary School. Did my 6 years there. Did my PSLE there, and then after that, I got into ACS secondary. And a couple of years after I finished at Cane Hill Primary School, the school closed down. Obviously, it couldn't survive without me. It closed down.
Yeah, I know.
And
Actually,
then-
the other school too, Arts International.
Yes, it did. Yes. I know. I leave these places. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
And ironically, Cane Hill School eventually became ACS Junior.
No.
Yeah, it became an Anglo-Chinese school.
So you went backwards.
Yeah, I know. It was trying to catch up with me.
Yeah. How was the Cane Hills? Is it a Chinese school? Or?
No. It was just a regular kind of government-run school.
Right.
It was a co-ed school, It was small. But it was good. It was. I had a very happy time in Cane Hill. Made some really good friends there. And yeah, it was happy times. God, this is the 70s, the good old bad old days. So it was nice, and being, I suppose, quite new to Singapore, and it was a bit of a every day was an adventure, as a kid. I was a bit of a swot, so I always kind of studied real hard and tried to top the class and all that kind of nonsense.
Oh, did you?
I did. I was a bit of that kind of a kid, a bit irritating. And I really like beat myself up if I came in second in class or something like that. I was pretty sick.
And will you attribute that to your parents, or was it just you being competitive?
I would have to be honest and say I have to attribute that to my parents. Yeah. My mum in particular always was the one to kind of make sure that I hit the books and did as well as I could, and it instilled me with some sense of striving, I suppose, but maybe to my own detriment, it kind of made me feel like if I fell short of those expectations, then I was a failure or something like that.
But what was the narrative that she was telling you? Because to strive for.
There was all these scare stories about, like, if you don't study hard now, then later on in life you're going to be a nothing type of thing. I suppose there's a.
I wonder where did they get their stories from back then? Because they themselves, or maybe they are looking at others as
maybe,
role
and perhaps there's also the kind of very old-fashioned conservative Asian thing of must save face kind of thing. Cannot. Oh God! I mean, it's. I mean, that's why in a big way, it's kind of had an impact on how I have raised or been raising my two sons. Perhaps to their own detriment, I've been very kind of laid back about never putting pressure on them, them having to take responsibility for themselves, all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. As a parent, you just whack. There's no script. There's no, you just think you know what you're doing, but every day you're just kind of making it up. And my parents were doing the best by me. As far as they knew. But yeah, so Cane Hill and then ACS and then.
How would you describe the character of young Adrian?
My goodness.
When you're growing up, during those times?
I suppose cheeky, mischievous, clueless, insecure.
That we are all.
Very much like the way I am now, really, to be honest. I don't think I've changed that much. I think I certainly was much more of an extrovert as a child than I am now. Used to be at family gatherings, I used to be, life of the party, come Adrian, come and entertain us, type of thing, which that I've certainly grown out of.
You do that a lot in your job now, so.
I don't do it now. I say
You're tired.
my aunt wants me to entertain. I said, well, how much is it going to cost you?
Yeah, it's like the chef who always get caught to cook, and then it's like, come on, man, I cook the rest of it. Give me a break.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like that, and or doctors who at social functions, people always come up to them and say, hey, I've got this pain here, so can you so kind of occupational hazard, I suppose.
Yeah, and are there any like mischievous, rebellious story when you're young that could characterize you? Too many.
I do recall one occasion. This was in Malacca, when, for some reason, I don't know what it says about me, but I was playing with my mom's lipstick. What was I doing? I don't even remember. I was playing with my mom's lipstick, and it broke. I think I was using it to draw something, on a piece of paper, and it broke. And I was like, oh crap. And I had to, what do I do? What do I do? Do I try and like hide it? Do I lie? I guess I better go and tell my mom. And I go confess. But my mom was on the phone at the time. And I was like, I need to tell her now. I gotta tell her now. Okay, maybe I should wait. Oh no, I gotta tell her now because the guilt was just killing me. And I was like, and what I did was, this phone here, interestingly enough, she was on the phone.
Same phone.
I hung up for her. I actually used my finger and hung up the phone so that I could tell her what I'd done straight away. Of course, just hanging up the phone while she was on the phone already got me into deep shit and become into big trouble. So why did you do that? I'm talking about. And then I had to go and tell her what I'd done with the lipstick. So not very smart kid who grew up to be a not very smart adult, obviously. But
I think you did the right thing.
You think?
I mean,
two wrongs don't make a right.
I would think that your mom would be proud of you. Well, I remember that what did I do? There was this science experiment, or this one of those books that you have 101 science experiment to do, and there was this one, how do you make a sting bomb? And I remember like just peeing into a bottle, and then what you do is that you have your matchsticks, and then you cut the top and you put it all in, and you're supposed to just let it wait for a week, right? So I put it at the garden, and then I forgot all about it. After a month I came back, I was like, oh yeah, what's this thing? How's the experiment going? So I went to take it smells really bad. So what do? I don't know. What am I gonna do with stick bomb? Well, obviously not gonna throw it in my room. So I put it in a super soaker, because I have a super soaker. And who do I shoot it to? Well, my neighbor. Of course, right? And then there you go. So that was the story ends with me getting a round beating, running around, and it was one of those bizarre like beating cases where I just get chased around by the cane and they just end up hiding under the kitchen table.
Good old days.
Yeah, and you don't know what you're doing, right? There's no explanation.
Excellent.
Yeah, and you mentioned your rebelliousness and your character are both a flaw and a lucky charm that has contributed to your success. Why do you think that is so? And is there any befitting story that sort of could describe that? We can fast forward.
To be honest, I think I've always, at every stage of my life, felt like a little bit of a misfit, and that I never really
Thank you for plugging
belonged. Right till now, I don't particularly feel that I fit into any social group or tribe or a clan or whatever you want to call it. And even through the years, even in the closest of friendships, closest groups of friends, and I've been lucky enough and blessed enough to have had great friends through my lifetime. I've always felt a little bit of an odd one out, in one way or another, and I suppose that and it used to kind of get me down a lot of the time. I used to kind of long for a sense of belonging, I suppose. But it's only maybe in the last few years that I've kind of reconciled myself to the fact that, hey, it's just my my calling and my fate to be ever so slightly different or ever so slightly strange. And I've kind of given up trying to make people accept me or understand me or whatever. It's just too tiring, and there's really no need. I don't think. I'm lucky enough that what I do as a living enables me to just kind of escape being me for a little while, and I don't feel. I think I don't feel. I feel more at home when I'm kind of inhabiting somebody else's skin or life for a while. I feel more at home and more grounded, I suppose, somehow. When I'm able to do that. So, for as long as the forces and all the elements allow me to do what I do, I hope to be able, I hope I never have to retire, because it keeps me sane. Not to be precious about it, but without it, I would have gone mad a long time ago. I was just never cut out to do anything else.
Well, why do you think you don't fit in or you don't belong? And I ask this because sometimes I feel the same, being Singapore being square, and I don't know. I wouldn't want to compare myself being good or better or ahead or lower than people, but that I can't describe it. I don't know if you could take a step at describing why.
Don't know. I mean. And even in my saying that, I would never claim to be, I'm the only one to feel this way. I mean, as by your admission as well, you say you kind of identify with that, and perhaps it's safe to say that every single individual in a certain way or to a certain extent will feel that kind of sense of I don't know whether it's isolation or alienation or just like sense of displacement, I suppose.
Do you think it's because of the difference in the worldview, or
maybe
it might be positive, negative? Because I'm for once, I never talk to people who complain. Like this has been right now my rule.
Never what?
Never talk to people who complain.
Who complain?
Yeah, I was like, I can just think of people who have way worse situation than you.
Yeah.
And so I take us So that for me helped. Is there? I mean, if you could pinpoint, is there anything you might think attributed to it?
I mean, just to your point, I think self pity and whinging is a very unattractive quality in anyone. And sure, if you come and share a problem with me, I can try to empathize, and if there's any way to help, I will. But hell, everybody's got problems. Yeah, everybody's got problems. You know, everybody's got problems. We just have to accept that. Hell, the world is a big, weird, wonderful place made up of 7.5 billion very different individuals with 7.5 billion different personalities and needs and fears and all that kind of stuff. And you know, who am I to say somebody else's worries or insecurities are not valid? It's
No, I think that just also because us admitting to the problems goes to show that it is more than just us. And you know, when we can talk about it, other people might find strength in knowing that they are not alone. And truth is, if any problems out there, is usually we are not alone in, be it
For sure.
suicidal or depression.
yeah.
And along the years, what are ways you try to cope with that? Because you too went to London. Did you feel that you fit in? I went on my same journey. I went for a gap year to the US. And after that, you start a company and found a wife. How is that? Do you manage to confine, or how do you manage to solve that sort of sense of displacement?
I think I don't think I've solved it. By no means do I think I've solved it. I don't think I ever will solve it. And maybe it's something I've discovered that, hey, you know, if that constant state of displacement is going to be there, then I might as well just embrace it and just go with it and try and make the most of it. Because you know, if I see it as something to fear, or I see it as the enemy, then I'll constantly be living in its shadow, and I don't want it to beat me, I suppose. I mean, I'm 51, and hell, you know, life ain't getting any easier, or I'm way past my middle age already. So life is short, man. Life is short. You just, you know, with whatever's left, I just hope that I can live it meaningfully. And to live in fear or in that kind of constant on the back foot, you know, it's no way to exist, I suppose. So being grateful, I think being grateful is very important, and by nature I know that the glass is half empty. Not even that. I'm more the who the hell took my glass kind of guy. Thank you. So it's been a huge thank you challenge for me to just try to hold on to the good stuff and always be appreciative of the good stuff that you have in your life. As you say, people who complain right, it's just very, very hard to bear. So I've tried to not be a complainer, I suppose. Sure, there are things that I would be happy to bitch about and whinge about, and the things that I want and crave and covet and all that kind of stuff, which when I find myself in that place, it makes me feel horrible and ugly and yuck. So I'm just trying to live, trying to go into the light. Because you know, I know that my nature is to dwell in the shade, and you know, I've gone through stages in my life where just dark and couldn't see a way out, type of thing. And you know, becoming a dad was a huge turning point for me, because it kind of gave me a kick up the arse and made me think, okay, you know, I need to live my life a different way. So that was huge. That was huge, becoming a dad. And I dare say my two sons keep me going. They have made me, and they constantly make me want to just change myself. That's great. It's great. I'm so thankful for my kids.
Yeah, I wonder, because you spoke about being grateful. Do you have a gratefulness practice? Or
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I was brought up in a Christian family, but I'm, it's been years since I've gone to church on a kind of regular basis, um, and but I still pray, and I make sure when I pray, it's not just to ask for things. Whoever it is that I'm praying to, okay, whatever God is listening, and it's a lot of it is just a psychological thing. Um, I make sure I thank as well. Something good happens, something that I've been wanting or hoping for, working really hard for, falls into place. I say thank you to whoever it might be, whatever it might be. And I say this only because, like I said, I'm not particularly religious, but whatever forces are out there that are seemingly making the world turn, I don't know. I just feel I just want to acknowledge that. Yeah. So as you can see, my grasp of the a higher being or a higher power is very, very tenuous and very vague.
No, I mean, I'll just underscore what you say because I don't think you need to necessarily connect a gratefulness practice with a religion. And in fact, I think a gratefulness practice is very practical because firstly, like you just said, people who complain, no one likes people who complain. And when you complain, you're actually in this like lower state of being where you don't find solutions. And just to take yourself out of that complaint mood is the whole gratefulness practice. And when you are grateful, you are not fearful, and that's AKA Tony Robbins. Yeah. And so if you can take yourself out and prime yourself in the state of just uplifting stage, you might actually find a better solution and hence, move on, get out your problem faster instead of dwelling on that.
Yeah, yeah.
So ACS, Anglo-Chinese School, you studied there, and then subsequently ACJC, which actually, by the way, is also the same year where the other Adrian Tan,
Yeah.
author of, do you guys know each
We
other?
were classmates.
No way! So
Adrian Tan, lawyer extraordinaire and author of teenage textbook. Adrian Tan, Adrian Wang, who is a psychiatrist, and myself were classmates in secondary 3A in ACES secondary. This was back in 1982.
Were you guys good friends?
We were the three Adrians were the three
Musketeers.
troublemakers who were sitting in a corner in the back of the class. Suffice to say, the other two Adrians were higher achievers, and I was kind of in Sec 3 because I discovered theatre and I discovered girls. My grades just fell behind so quickly, like overnight. Whereas they had the wherewithal and the good sense to keep their grades up, and they're very high achievers now, obviously, and they're very prominent members of our community. But yeah, Adrian, he's a funny guy, funny guy. He used to just
Even when...
no, even then, yeah.
wow.
Even back then, he is smart, really smart, and clever with words. We got on really, really well, three of us.
Did you enjoy your study in AC?
I did. I mean, like I said, my
Maybe not the studying part.
Well, that's the thing. You see, my kind of like overachieving mindset carried on into secondary 1 and 2 in ACS. And so I kind of rose up the grades in ACS in Sec 1 and Sec 2 because I was in like Sec 1J, and then for what it's worth, and then I worked my ass off and did really well in the exams, got into Sec 2B, and then next year I thought, okay, I'm gonna get to 3A, and I did. I got into 3A.
Nice.
It almost killed me, but it got into 3A, and then after that, I think I was spent. I was like, I got nothing more. I got nothing more to give. Oh, look, girls. That was the end of it. That was a nail in the coffin. And then theatre as well. Like I said, Sec 3, I did my first school play, and I was hooked. Theatre plus theatre that had girls in it. Oh my goodness, that was the end. That was me done. And my grades just took a plunge, and obviously it had a terrible effect back home. And being a grumpy, surly teenager didn't help as well. So yeah, my teenage years, were kind of buoyed by good friends, and messing around and doing plays. But and a lot of this is my own fault. My relationship with my parents became a little bit strained, I have to say. Stopped going to church at 15 as well. So so they were like, "What? Oh my goodness, look at your grades, and you're spending all this time messing around on stage and talking about girls all the time, and you're not going to church with us. Ah, my God, the world is ending." So so that was a huge
And we could see where it was now.
Yeah, well, exactly. Look at me now. Disappointment through and through.
And what made you fall in love with theatre back then? Well, other than the girls part, because
I think the girls at the time were and still is a big thing. I think, as I alluded to before, it was the discovery of being able to escape into another world and pretend to be.
But that's not how you
else.
found theatre. I mean, how you found was because of girls, or you tried a whole bunch of other things?
No. It was kind of okay. The whole thing about being slightly a misfit was a lot of my friends in my secondary school were all very sporty. They were squash players and football players and rugby players, whatever it is. But I was just a bit of a
artsy.
No, not even that. I'd never really discovered that quite yet. I mean, I always loved literature, I loved reading and all that kind of stuff. But at that time in Singapore, there was no theatre to speak of, really. Nothing to go and see, certainly. So this whole thing of discovering it was almost by accident. And for want of something to do to distract myself, because I was already starting to be a little unhappy, and then the school announced auditions for this school musical. So I thought, I don't know anything about it, but for a laugh, why not? And Adrian was going to audition as well, so I thought, let's all go and have a laugh together. And he got a role. I got a role, and I was like, "Oh, okay. What have I got myself into? Okay, yeah, it could be fun." And so, yeah, I just went into it just for a laugh, really, and just a way to distract myself from my terrible grades, and also, I suppose I wasn't already not very happy at home. So it was an excuse to stay away from home and, go to rehearsals and that kind of stuff. But like I said, all this is not to cast any aspersions on my parents or anything. They were loving parents. It was just me going kind of wayward on my own.
Not at all. I think Asian parents teach us the discipline. I think even acting. I'm sure when you go to gym, I don't know how people do that, to bulk out or to slim down.
Oh God!
And it's a process.
Discipline. Yeah, discipline. Yeah, it's a very hard thing.
And London, and after that, straight away you went to how do you pronounce that?
Kiel.
Kiel.
Yeah, University of Kiel.
Kiel. In the 1990s. So why London? Why law? And how did Kiel end up?
Because I did so badly in my A levels, and I did badly in my A levels because, like I said, still spending all my time rehearsing and acting secretly, without my parents' knowledge. Although I thought it was without their knowledge. Of course, they would find out. And girls and theatre was just my absolute downfall. So I did so badly for my A levels that the only way for me to continue studies was to be banished from Singapore after my national service, and to be made to do a foundation course in any university that would take me, because NUS wouldn't. But that's how bad my grades were at the time. And to do this foundation course in order to then take a proper degree course after that. So I did a year's foundation in Kiel, where you basically study every damn thing. And then after that, the idea was for me to progress on to taking law.
And that was all an arrangement by the mom.
That was for me to
but she didn't pick all that bad
pay for my sins.
After.
I mean, it was hell. It was just the next phase in my life, really, and it's something that I'll forever owe my parents for giving me that chance to continue my studies there, because even then also, after I'd done my 4 years at university, and in my final year of studying law and psychology, it suddenly dawned on me that, oh, I'm doing law and psychology. Does that mean I'm going to be a lawyer?
But did you choose law, or law was? Well, you went on the premises of doing a foundation year and learning everything.
And then from there, I think it was always a kind of understanding between myself and my parents that I was going to go and study law. Okay. I do
psychology.
Because it was a university where you had to take a double major.
Oh.
Yeah, so I had to take law and something else, and I thought, oh, psychology, don't know anything about it, but it looks like there's minimal study. So that's the one I'm going to choose, and it was fun. It was good fun. And I learned something which I suppose I kind of kid myself that I'm kind of in some indirect way using when I'm doing what I'm doing now as an actor.
And tell me the inner dialogue you had when you decided to give up law in your final year.
I think the inner dialogue was very simply, if I pursue this, then this is the long dark tunnel, another long dark tunnel that I'll be going very reluctantly. And the alternative is what? What do I want to do? What do I love doing more than anything else? Acting. So I never had any ambition through my whole growing up, as a child, through my teens, even through my national service, or even while I was studying law. I was always kind of shoving it to the, I don't want to think about it, I don't want to think what's next. But, at that threshold of graduation with a law degree, I thought, oh, wow, this is the point of no return then, because if I really want to pursue this, I'm going to go and continue to take the bar exams, pupillage, trying to find internship, whatever, with a law firm, and then, wow, and it scared the hell out of me. I thought, wow, okay, is that really what I want to do? No. Is there something else that I really would rather be doing? God, yes. I have no concept of how to embrace it, but this is what I've loved doing for most of my formative years. So I had to break the news to my parents.
How did the conversation was it on one of those payphones?
Yes.
You put coins in them?
Yes. Oh, a lot of shouting, a lot of tears, a lot of drama. But it had to be done, as painful as it was, and I appreciated then, and I appreciate now how heartbreaking it must have been for my parents to know that they had invested all this hope and finances for me to be a hotshot lawyer, for it to sort of come to nothing really. So I have a lot of guilt. I have a lot of guilt. Guilt is a big motivator in one's life. So I had to convince them that, it wasn't going to happen, this law thing. And that what I really wanted to do was to be an actor. So I somehow managed to convince them that I would take one more year at Arts International, which was a kind of postgraduate, very intensive kind of acting training up in Yorkshire. So that's what I did. Straight after graduation, which my parents very kindly came and attended at Kiel. After that, I went straight to Arts International and spent a year there, training to be an actor.
I read this on the internet that you once had zero in your bank account. I don't trust the internet, so just want to do a fact check with you. Did that happen?
God, I mean, as an actor, this was through the first couple of years, I suppose, as an actor.
That was after you graduated. Did mom help with that?
You mean with
school?
For that year? No, I paid it myself. Yeah.
Just working
working. Yeah. In fact, yeah.
Waiting tables.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Through that year at Arts International. But once I finished with that, and then went and kind of launched myself at the mercy of the industry in London. It was trying to survive, going job to job, and yeah, there were lean times. Gosh, I remember finishing a gig in kind of October and then not knowing when the next gig was going to be, and looking at my bank account and going, how am I going to pay my rent for the next couple of months if I don't get a job soon? And literally kind of breaking down and crying because I was that worried that I just wouldn't be able to feed myself, and it was all my own doing. It was all my choice because I decided to make this take this other direction, knowing, I suppose, full well that it was going to be a life full of insecurity and occasional work if I was lucky enough. But that was the only thing I wanted to do, So thankfully, through the 9 years that I worked as an actor based in London, I was never out of work for more than 3 months. Amazingly, I managed to always kind of get a gig, and nothing. Why don't I get another gig? I used to have this journal of my employment. I would write down the date that I went to audition, write down the date that I heard from them, whether it was a yes or no, write down the date of when I started the gig, write down the date of when I stopped it, just as a chart, so I could see my employment history. And I look back at it. Actually, I probably have it somewhere still. I look back at it, some years after, and I go, hey, I've done actually okay. Sure, when you're in the middle of a period of unemployment, it's like the world's going to end. But actually, I did okay. I managed to survive and buy a house and start a family and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I did okay. Could have been worse. I mean, I met a lot of actors who were out of work for years. I mean, I did a TV thing with this wonderful actor, Adrian, who after that gig, he didn't work for about 3 years. He was painting houses. He's a good actor. I mean, 95% of actors are unemployed at one time in the UK. 95, and this is like the hundreds of thousands of actors, and by the looks of it, a lot of jobs. I mean, yeah, the West End, off West End, TV, film. These are the 5% of actors working at any one time. So just to try to be in that 5% as much as you can, fighting against
The 95.
the 95, fighting against all kinds of prejudices about color and type and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was challenging to say the least.
Yeah, I would think. I mean, especially when you think that you can go through those time, and when you actually really look at your bank account, and man,
Yeah. It was there were some dark times, but then you get the job. The next job is heave a sigh of relief, just to work.
And when you get a job, do they front load you with like some money to per diem or
That kind of stuff.
How does it-
Well, luckily I managed to get myself an agent quite soon. After my second job, a theatre job, basically, God, those early days, typing out letters on a electric typewriter.
Oh my god.
Electric typewriter, letter after letter after letter to 50 over agents to say, hey, I'm doing this show. I'm looking for representation. Will you come and see it, please, so that maybe we can have a chat about blah, 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 blah. You send out 100 letters. You're lucky to get back 10, and you're lucky if 2 of them are vaguely interested. And if one actually makes good on their interest and actually turns up, you're very lucky. So I was fortunate enough to get an agent after my second job. That's basically their job is to, in theory, to try and look out for jobs for you. In the UK with TV jobs, commercials, they got this wonderful system of repeat fees and residuals. So meaning within the contract is an agreement that you will do your job, they will pay you, and then if there's any repeats on TV, or if they sell the rights to broadcast a program to another country, you still get paid. So I'm still receiving checks for things that I did 20 years ago, which is fantastic. Singapore, of course, nothing like this exists, so you just kind of have to deal with it, really. But yeah, so it was a whole different world.
Yeah, I think the starting part seems like the hardest part, right? Once you're out there, and if you manage to find an agent, then life is not that gloomy.
Well, I think certainly, speaking from my experience, it was always still living hand to mouth. A lot of the times I would get job offers directly, and then you still have to hand it over to your agent for them to kind of try to negotiate it somehow. But it's always hard. It's always hard. I mean, I think there are certainly different levels. You want to talk about your Ryan Goslings or Benedict Cumberbatches. That's a whole different other strata where they've paid their dues, and they've now at a phase of their careers now where seemingly it's a self motivating, generating
Circle
thing. Yeah.
It's always the first big breaks.
I guess in that kind of, but
Right.
keeping it completely real here.
No.
For myself, it certainly has been always trying to generate work for myself.
Find the
Always
next
trying to,
thing.
yeah.
So anyway, when I was Forever Fever released in 1998. Great film though, although I have not watched it. I only saw the trailer yesterday. I need to get myself on those films. And there's you, and then there's you being Bruce Lee, and then there's you dancing disco. So were you a disco master though in that era?
No.
Because I didn't saw that like dancing was part of your repertoire for hire.
No,
How do you end up with that? And you were in the UK, and then this is in Singapore.
I mean, this was still during the period I was living and working in the UK, and Glenn Gui, the director, I had done a theatre production for him in London, and then, in fact, that production was subsequently brought to Singapore, and we performed it here. And we were just kind of, at that time, he was wanting to break into making films. So we were just bouncing ideas off each other, and he said, "Hey, I got an idea for something set in the 70s, and maybe there might be something in it for you." And so yeah, sure. So when it finally came to reality, he said, "Hey, it's going to happen, and we want to bring you back to Singapore to film this thing. It's got disco dancing, it's got kung fu. Can you do either?" No. Okay, fine, great. I guess we'll have to try and somehow train you up then. So yeah, it was hard work, learning all the dance and faking some kung fu. But yeah, we filmed that in kind of 4 or 5 weeks in a very hot 1997. Came back just to film the thing, and then I was back in London. I was released the next year.
Yeah.
I wasn't even in Singapore when I was released here because I was working in London. I couldn't make it back for the premiere.
And did you take dance lessons or?
Yeah, I had to take lessons specifically just to learn the choreography for the film.
Oh.
Yeah. So I had to learn very specific moves for the film. It was very stressful.
And side note, for folks who wants to get my hands on the film, how can one find it?
I don't know.
Legally or illegally? Or?
I mean, I'm sure I'm sure you can stream it from somewhere. I guess.
And why then move back here? Why then move your home base back to Singapore?
Because in the year 2000, my second son, Xander, was born, hot on the heels of his older brother, who was only born 16 months earlier. So Zach was born May 99. So, how happy father, all that. And 6 months, when Zach was 6 months old, we discovered that we were going to have another one. It was like, shit, what? This was Christmas of the new millennium, just before the new millennium. We discovered that we were going to have another child. So I was in a bit of a shock. It's like, what the hell? How did that happen? So I was kind of reeling from shock for the whole 9 months that he was, baking. And then he was born in September 2000, and all of a sudden I had 2 kids, and I was like, oh my God, this is serious now. Fatherhood big time. And I was still working consistently, but the concern of mine, like, I really have to step it up now. How to best take care of these 2 boys. Not just, it's a family, it's like a family, a real family now, husband, wife, 2 kids. Oh, wow. And so we thought, okay, maybe we should move out of London, where property prices are not so expensive. Also a safer environment for the kids to grow up in. And then, so we were actually house hunting in the suburbs of London, so at least I can work and all that. And then all of a sudden a phone call came. A phone call came while I was on a film shoot in Oxford, in a film called Spy Game. Name dropping here with Brad Pitt and Robert Redford. It was a Tony Scott directed film. I spent 1 week in filming in this abandoned jail in Oxford that was pretending to be a jail in China. So they got, I don't know, I think they rounded up all the Chinese takeaway owners to be prisoners. I remember being in my trailer and receiving this call from Singapore. I said, hello. And it was one of the producers, at this new TV station that was starting up called MediaWorks, and they were recruiting. They were looking for producer come performers. Would I be interested? And I was like, well, this is ridiculous. Why would I want to move back to Singapore? And then I thought about it and thought, hey, maybe I shouldn't just brush it away so easily. Went back, talked to Tracy about it, talked, and at the end of it, we said, hey, maybe it's a sign. Maybe it's a way for me to continue doing what I'm doing, albeit in a new form, and at the same time have some job security for a little while, where I would be able to look after this family that I created.
Because that's a full-time contract.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So okay, we negotiated back and forth. And they really wanted to seal the deal very quickly, so there was no time for me to even think about it very much. They really wanted to know, yes or no. If yes, then we want you to come back in 3 months. That's oh god, okay, fine, let's just do it. If we find that it's not working out, we always gave ourselves the escape clause to just go back to London. So that's what we did. Signed the contract. 3 months later, sold car, sold house, sold furniture, everything, packed up the whole shebang, came back to Singapore, started a new job, and then in 2001.
Wow.
With a 4-month-old and a year and a half old. So yeah, it was straight in the deep end, not really knowing what the hell I was doing as a producer on a nightly show, a nightly live show. Part of the excitement for me was doing live TV and doing something I'd never done before, writing, producing, just being, that side of creative work. Plus also I love the idea that there was this Rebel Alliance splinter company that had broken away from the evil empire, and that was trying to shake things up a little bit and do something new and just give the industry a little bit of a kick up the backside. So I love that kind of rebel misfit vibe suited me just fine, So yeah, that's what we did as MediaWorks. We struggled for 3 years before the whole thing imploded and the government stepped in and went, hey, look guys, you're killing each other. This is not going to work. We gave you a chance. It's not working. So let's have a merger. Which is basically a takeover.
Acquisition.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a dark day. I remember that, a lot of tears. Because, just when we felt we were making some progress and some headway and starting to steal some eyeballs and do some interesting programming, they shut us down.
Were you part of the stakeholder in MediaWorks?
In as much as with a stakeholder, as in I was an employee. I was an employee. Right. I mean, the stakes really was more emotional and than anything else. And like I said, it represented a way for me to look after the family. Some of the work I enjoyed, some I hated, but hell, for me it was work. It was work, And like I said, the rationale behind it was that there's the bigger cause, and the bigger picture is that we're trying to make a difference.
And right now you're at this point where you're the sole breadwinner for like 3 mouths.
Hey, right now you're talking about right now?
Oh well, no. Then
at that time, well, yeah, because Tracy stopped working for a little while.
Yeah.
To look after the boys. But a few years after we resettled in Singapore, she went back to theatre as well. And she till then she'd been stage managing, production managing, doing lighting design. But when she went back to theatre, to doing theatre when we were in Singapore. She joined Singapore Repertory Theatre as an associate artistic director, and she started their children's theatre wing called the Little Company, and it was very successful. She started writing scripts for them, started directing shows. So she found her whole new niche and a whole new life for herself. So it's like Tracy Pang, Mark II kind of happened back here. So she started flourishing, really flourishing in her, it's like a second wave of her career in theatre, and it was great. It was great for her. Whereas for me, struggling in this little TV station, and then the whole thing falling apart, and then the whole takeover, and I mean, like I said, being grateful, I didn't lose my job. In the takeover, 80% of MediaWorks employees were given the sack.
Wow.
I was one of the lucky ones who managed to keep my job and just segued into this so all of a sudden I was in the Death Star.
And that was also the time where you were, I don't know, was it filming or the 6 weeks, or was it showing?
6 weeks was the very last MediaWorks
Production
show that I did. It was something that was very close to my heart, because my boss at the time, Mr. Man Chu Sam, bless him, great man, at some point kind of called me into his office and said, "Okay, Adrian, do you have any ideas, anything you want to, as an actor, or you want to just bounce ideas off me?" So we said, "Well, actually, I've had this idea." So so from there, he encouraged me to go and create this thing. So me and the head writer of MediaWorks at the time, Lee Lin, we put our heads together and created this little mini series, a 6-part mini series about a guy who's got 6 weeks to live, and basically it's about how he lives these 6 weeks as meaningfully as he can. Ironically, actually, God, it was strange because on the last day of filming of that, we got the news that 6 weeks was going, that MediaWorks was going to close down.
Taken, yeah.
Yeah. So sad, very sad, very emotional, very, 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 very sad. But so that production kind of has a special place in my heart for me, because it was the very last one. It was something I had created, and what's behind the story, or the heart of the story, also meant a lot to me, about just kind of making the most of your life kind of thing. And then, after that I was kind of whisked off to do, 100 episode Channel 8 dramas, which nearly killed me. But it was work. I always just looked at it very pragmatically. It's work. I'm still employed, be grateful. So I stayed on. I stayed on for another few years before.
And you co-wrote 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you still write these days?
I have a yearning to, but having had the privilege to work on exquisite writing in many of the plays that Pandemonium has produced, I wouldn't even dare to pretend that I could craft something close to that. So can I leave it to the experts? There's some stories that I would like to tell, but I have to kind of make myself convince myself that yes, and I'm the only one who should write it, kind of thing. But maybe one day.
And I guess since while writing that whole play of 6 weeks, do you gain any valuable lesson on how, if you were to have 6 weeks, what will you be doing?
My goodness me. I think there's probably some value in I would like to think I'd be able to live the remaining of my life. If I was told that I have 6 weeks to live, I would hope that I have the strength to live it joyfully, and that when I finally go, it'll be kind of like like a celebration of the good stuff rather than you know, um, which is, I mean, 2016, as we know, yeah, we lost many kind of icons in pop culture and in literature, who for many people, were very special in their lives. And sure, it's easy to go, oh my God, he's gone. But I think what's been really uplifting is to how people choose to celebrate these people's lives with the work that they've done, and it's in a truly in a celebratory spirit, So
So live joyfully.
I guess, yeah, live joyfully. And like I said, for me, my two boys being in my life has made such a huge difference to how I live my life. I almost, center my life around my family. I would almost say that the work can take second place. I mean, work is very important to me because, like I said, I cling on to it just for sanity and for survival. But it would mean nothing without my family.
Do you think that your acting today is much better than you were before? And if so, how do you think that it is better?
To be honest, I think just growing older teaches you some lessons. Meeting incredible people through your work, who live lives that you couldn't imagine and go through incredible struggles that you couldn't even fathom, or really humbles you and really teaches you lessons. I think now at 51, I'm more open. I'm more vulnerable. I'm certainly more emotional. My wife tells me so. I can sit down and listen to a song and just be a mess. I can be driving in a car and listen to a song for the first time, and it will touch me in a certain way, and I will be sobbing. And that's something that, I don't know, I suppose just being willing to allow myself to feel more, I suppose. And to an extent, I think that has helped me in some of the roles that I've had to play. Just being open, and being.
And what is your
in touch.
When you get a role to play, how does your research process looks like? Comparing now and before.
I think right now I'm just much more grounded, and I just want that curiosity,
Yeah.
rather than just going and reading books about it, which is valuable. And sure, the internet there's a wealth of information or misinformation you can glean from that. But actually, just meeting real people and having them tell me their stories, and just trying to find a way into their lives. And a lot of it, I will also just try to find a part, I suppose, a part of myself, inaccessible as it might seem to be, that I can connect with the role. Even the, I mean, a couple of years ago, one of the shows that Bryan produced was a play called Frozen, where I had to play a pedophile serial killer, and it's based on a real character. it was it was it was harrowing to have to sorry.
No.
It was really harrowing to have to inhabit this character for that time, because he's just he's like a hollow shell of a human being whose own childhood was kind of destroyed also because he was a victim of abuse himself, and it kind of turned him into this monster who would abduct little girls and abuse them and then kill them. And so, I did a lot of research into that, and read a book about this particular man that he was based on. This character was based on, and I mean, at first, when we decided we were going to do this play, at first I never thought that I'd be the right person, right actor to play the role. But when it came down to it, I thought, I as alien as this character is to me, and I've no concept. I've got no contact with anybody who's like that. So it was a bit of a scary place to go to, but you have to go there every night, just going there, just going to this really horrible place. But it teaches you a lot. It certainly taught me a lot. So I think certainly the many of the roles that I've played has enriched my life and me as a person in countless ways. I could never have learned from anything else.
And how would you translate just reading a book to being in that person? What is that, steps, or if there is a process?
I think every actor will have his own process, and certainly for me, there's no one way to attack any role, or any different genre of performance or film or TV. But I think part of it is using some imagination and using some of your own liberties or license to create something out of real life. Because real life, I mean, can be very strange. It can be very dramatic. But then to be able to then translate it onto the stage, there has to be just a little. You have to kind of shake it up a little bit more, I suppose. I'm speaking very vaguely right now, but I think being, like I said earlier, just being able to kind of open a part of yourself and letting that kind of view, or letting a bit of yourself into that character as well.
So what you say is it's one of those, you got to feel their motivation, understand their story, and then be emotionally at that state first, before then physically.
That's how it works for me.
Okay.
That's how certainly in the last few years I'm tending more towards, and I feel that kind of works for me. I might change my mind.
No, you can
tomorrow, but certainly in the last few things that have meant a lot to me that I've tackled, that seems to be the way in for me.
No, I'm asking that because acting is just such a mysterious art form. Sure, you have things that are being taught in school, but when you reach a certain technical level, and you want to continue improving, like how do you ensure that you are improving in the right way? Because if no one talks about it, no one knows what the hell it is. And
no, you're absolutely right. I think there is a danger, and it's a constant danger of becoming stagnant, or even starting to
regress.
Yes, without you knowing it. I think being able to self-critique, which is very difficult, is important. Because how do you objectively kind of look at yourself and being someone who's constantly criticizing oneself, it's easy to kind of lose sight, I suppose. But I think always wanting to find something new, always looking for something new, and even if you say, well, hang on, this character is similar perhaps to something I played before, find something new. There must be something else, something more, something new that you can value add to this.
And I guess maybe a better question would be, as you being a director now, how will you differentiate a good actor? Oh, well, okay, putting labels, just actor then.
Because just to clarify, certainly for the shows that Pandemonium, the theatre company that Tracy and I started and run, she's the boss. Tracy is the boss. She directs all our shows. If I have a place in the any production as part of the cast, it really is. I'm just an actor.
Okay.
And she's the boss. She's the director. But we make a lot of the executive and artistic decisions together for the company, for each show, in the casting and all that. And I'll have a say in it, obviously. So to your question as to...
So good actor versus a great actor.
You know, it's very subjective. It really is quite subjective. Luckily, Tracy and I have pretty similar...
benchmarking.
As to who we think might be right for certain roles. And there might be, we've worked with really, really good actors, very broadly speaking. Good actor, but does this mean that this good actor can play this role? Not right. Somehow something is not quite right, Hell, case in point, wonderful actress, love her to death, Un Shu An. She auditioned for us on several occasions. And we were like, each time we were like, come on, be good, be really good. And she's really good, but at the end of the day, was she absolutely right for this role? Damn, somebody else is actually more right for it. So there's these unquantifiable factors that go into the casting of anyone. There's some actors you would kind of, God, this is all this actor can do. But this would be perfect for this role, So really, you just have to take it case by case. But for me, I mean, certainly with the way that I've been going, the direction I've been going in, I identify certain characteristics about certain actors who I go, I really like the way this actor approaches the dialogue or approaches the scene.
Are there any common themes between great actors then?
Actually, no, not really. No,
Okay.
It's
very intuitive.
Yeah. I think intuition is a huge thing. But every actor is different. Really, there's my acting heroes that I grew up with are very different from the heroes that I have now. Robert De Niro was my hero for years and years. But even now, I would concede that he has limitations. Of course, he has. Everyone does. Every actor has limitations. So now, my heroes now are very, very different. But you can learn from anyone.
Yeah.
You can learn from someone who's completely new. I think stay humble, stay hungry.
No, I mean, it still goes back to the point that it's
you
really hard to draw the line because no one has been able to write a clear, this is good.
Right.
This is,
yeah. Oh, numerous books have been written about but that's just one way of thinking, one way of looking at it. And audiences, you
No,
can't
no.
please
Yeah.
everyone. You can't please everyone.
No, for sure.
So
Well, like, if you could, if someone were to dedicate 5 years of their life, I think 5 years being a good amount of time to try to be a professional actor, how would you tell them to effectively spend their time in this 5 years?
God Almighty. Um,
Well, if you would think it's too short, we can extend the time.
Well, only because I think hell, I've been doing this for 25 years, and
I'm just putting an absurd number.
no, sure. I think without it being sounding corny, you'll always be
Learning.
studying and always be learning, and that's certainly something I'm trying to keep doing. Not just learning by accident, but actually wanting to actively go and study as well. And I'm doing.
How
I'm
about that?
certainly
Would you
doing that.
recommend film school? Sorry, acting,
I mean,
drama school.
I think certainly going to get some sort of formal training will teach you some very valuable lessons.
But is that a better spend of time? Say, for example, let's take an alternative, which is just working with you for free.
Just oh God.
Or I mean, this is also the whole idea of like
Wouldn't work
doing
for
doing free work for people to learn. And I think if you take that paying school fees as just why don't just do free work, and you have gained valuable experience, and also at the same time put yourself in the industry.
There've been kind of young aspiring actors who have approached me to say, hey, can I come and if you've got some sort of a mentorship
Program.
thing,
Whatever.
or
It's a big word.
yeah, or just come and be an intern so I can watch and learn, or I want to learn. I've always told them to go away because I honestly do not feel I'm in a position to teach anybody anything.
But comparing that, maybe not you, but comparing school versus a mentor internship.
If you can
Hustle your way into.
hustle well.
Well, it doesn't need to be 3 years, right? It
Doesn't
could be like
have
6
to be
months
three.
from
I don't-
different people.
There's a limit to how much you can learn in 6 months.
Well,
Like I
that
said,
too.
within 6 months, I think you learn certain technical
Or 1 year.
technical skills. Possibly. I mean, I took a year's thing because that's the time I gave myself.
Yes.
If I could have afforded, or had been younger at the time, to go through a whole 3-year course, I probably would have. And then again, this begs the question: how much can drama school teach you? So many promising students have come out of drama school and then not being able to get work, because that's a whole other thing. They will never. It's unteachable how to get work, how to get employed. And this was a huge thing for the principal of my Arts International. They said, the job of getting a job is something that you have to learn yourself. And it's all kinds of these skills that you can't really impart. It's all about your personality, about how you present yourself, and all about that extra something, that indefinable thing, which will get you work. All things being equal, one actor has that extra what? What is it? X factor, that thing, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
It's just a very unforgiving career path, and there's no guarantees. There's really no guarantees. I mean, the fact that Tracy and I are running our own theatre company, for me, I'm the luckiest actor I know, because this company that I'm running is generating work, yes, for the artists within our industry here. But for me as an actor, hell, if there's a role for me, hey, woo, I'm really the luckiest actor I know. So if not for that, I'm under no illusions that I would be scraping and grafting and trying to get the next gig and all that, just as I was 20 years ago when I was living in London.
No, so I read your interview with Loretta on During King, and you seem to have a very healthy awareness to your craft. You compare an artist with a garbage collector. Actually,
Did I? Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I think a garbage collector
is even more effective.
serves more to society.
That's exactly what you say. Yeah. Maybe actually, you know what? I would love to have you explain that a little bit more. And following that is how you came to that. What inspired you to take that stance?
Because I think I realized quite early in my so-called career that actors in particular love to talk about themselves. That's why even me sitting here is very uncomfortable for me. Love to talk about themselves, love to hear their own voices. And I think there is a certain sense of overinflated self-importance. Whereas someone who comes and cuts the grass and someone who comes and clears the rubbish, they are actually serving a real purpose, useful purpose. Society would fall apart without, if our garbage collectors went on strike, as they often do in London, civilization would collapse. We don't need more actors in the world. We just don't. At the very best, maybe we provide some momentary diversion in your life and in your day. That's why, not to be self-aggrandizing, but that's why in the work that we're doing with Pandemonium, we are trying to find stories and find scripts and plays or even musicals that have substance to them. We've tackled, in the plays that we've done, subjects like child abuse, like depression, like bipolar disorder, like autism, things that people don't like to talk about, but there are real people in our community living with it, struggling with it, and whose lives are, so deeply impacted by it. We want to try and create awareness and make people take action and take action ourselves.
Yep.
So I guess I've just found that maybe that is what I can try to do in some meaningful way. Because otherwise it's just frivolous and it's
Adrian, I want to be respectful of your time. Are you rushing?
I need to take my son to go for a thing by 1 o'clock, if that's okay.
Okay, well, let's try to get it going here. Moving to Pandemonium. I think there are a lot of people in Singapore who have not experienced theatre. My friend described it as, because film has the whole visual and thing to sell you, the machinery in Star Wars, even though it's the shit film, you need to watch. I'm not saying that Star Wars. Yeah, you need to watch it. So for someone who have never experienced theatre, how would you best describe theatre to that person?
Yeah, that's the constant challenge, certainly for any theatre company, really, to just try to entice a non-believer just to be a convert. And some people have tried it and decided, it just happens to be one bad experience, and oh God, why should I pay $50 to go and see a bunch of people pouncing around?
What is the angle you would take?
I think there's good theatre, there's bad theatre, there's everything in between, and the different tastes. Some people want to go. Their idea of going to a theatre, a night out at the theatre, is to sit in a very comfortable air-conditioned room and be dazzled for 2 hours by lots of costume changes and lots of bright lights and some hummable tunes. And that's perfectly valid. If that is what you want, then there is that kind of theatre that's available. And then there's very niche, genres of theatre as well that are completely abstract, and even I have no clue what's going on. And there is something for everyone. I mean, certainly, once again, not trying to plug Pandemonium for Pandemonium. We're trying to tell stories that are accessible, but at the same time, not commercial. We're trying to tell stories that are seldom told, I suppose. But I think if people are willing to give it a chance, come in with an open mind, with an open heart, you will be impacted by it.
Right, as an audience, what would what do you think like would be the main selling point? Is it more like an emotional? I mean, that being a big word.
No, sure. I think entertainment has to be paramount.
Yes.
Okay, and it has to. No matter what, you go to a film, you watch a TV program, you go and see go to theatre. It has to be entertaining. But what does entertainment mean to different people? Entertainment means a different thing to different people. For me, sure, I like a good laugh, but I love to sit in the theatre and have the performance rip me to shreds. It will fuck with my mind and break my heart. That is the kind of experience I like personally. Some people will go, no, after a hard day's work, why do I want to go to theatre and be made to think or be made to feel? I just want to laugh. Perfectly valid also.
Yep.
But then you got to find the right thing for you, Yes, the cinema, you pay $9 or whatever it is, and you either treat it to spectacle or, and there are all kinds of cinema for different tastes as well. But because you pay $9 as opposed to $50, you just okay, let's give it another try. Iron Man didn't tickle your fancy. Okay, never mind. There's Captain America. Give that a try. Oh, Ant-Man. Okay, never mind. $9 only. I'm gonna try. No, not so good. Okay. Next year I got Wonder Woman. I'll give it a try.
Right,
you just forever have this kind of flirtation with it. Whereas some people I know who like, a bad experience going to see Mamma Mia. Oh, forget it. Theatre is shit. Theatre sucks. Why should I bother? But
give it a chance.
Yeah, that's what I think. I mean, yeah, you never know.
It seems on the outside that theatre is such a huge risk every time you put a play on. And speaking to Loretta, she went doing that. I would just like to understand how the economics works behind the world of theatre, and in terms of like, is it do you get government grants? There's also sponsorship. But then when is the line being drawn, or maybe for Pandemonium, that let's do this, let's turn this script into a play when it's however much percent funded beforehand, before ticket sales?
To be honest, we decide on what we want to stage first. And Pandemonium, we're the only company that has a season ticket, so we plan a whole year ahead. Like for our 2017 season, we already knew what we were going to do at the start of 2016. So right now we're planning for 2018, 2019, because we announced, okay, next year we're doing this, and we're selling a season ticket for that, so people commit to the whole season. That's proved to be a risk, but strategically, it was a huge gamble for us, but it's paid off, thankfully. Once again, Tracy's idea. I was very doubtful about it, but she said, hey, come on, let's give it a try. And tried, and year after year, it doubled. Our subscriptions have doubled.
Fantastic.
So, in answer to the question, we plan to stage this, and then we try to get funding for it, whether it's private sponsorships or whether it's applying to the National Arts Council. We're just trying in every way to try and say, hey, we're doing this. Would you give us some money? We're doing that. Would you give us some money? And it's going to be a tough year. It's going to be a tough year ahead, 2017, because the economy is in the shit, and a couple of the shows that we're doing are sensitive subjects. Maybe people don't want to touch. So we're like, okay, but still we're going to do it. We're going to do it because we think it's important to tell these stories. And we just hope for the best.
How much financial risk one person takes on whenever they want to produce a play? We're looking at, I don't know, is it if it all goes to shit, no one buys ticket, what is the worst one will need to suffer if you downscale the play to however much?
God, I mean, every production will have its own different
Number.
budgets. Yeah.
Range? Is that
Yeah.
range?
God, you know what? To be honest, anything to do with numbers, I leave to the
Tracy.
boss.
Sure.
I go dyslexic when I see an Excel sheet with numbers. I'm like, sorry, I'm just an actor, you know, just give me some lines to say. Because I look at numbers. So Tracy, bless her, she's got left brain, right brain, got artistic plus the business. That's why she's able to work out all the budgets and all the accounts for all our shows. And she budgets it very astutely. So to try to keep our break even as low as possible. And yeah, on the other hand, we're just always trying to get funding, please get begging. I'm a professional beggar. I'm not an actor. That's my job description.
Yeah.
I go and beg for money. As a producer now, that's my job. And it's hard, and it really is frustrating and humbling, and sometimes, there's times when you just feel the world is against you, and then you start to complain. And then you start to think, oh, nobody appreciates me and all that shit. But the society doesn't owe anybody, certainly owe me a living.
Yeah.
So I just have to keep on trying and try not to lose the faith.
Okay, quick round of questions.
Oh shit.
What is the book or books you have given most as gift?
That I've given?
Yes.
People still even read books nowadays. I have a soft spot for To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, because I studied it at school, in secondary school, and absolutely fell in love with it. I think it's got so much to teach us about life and the world we live in, and courage, and integrity. And it's a rites of passage story about three kids, written from the point of view of a little girl looking at this big world around her. I find it very funny, very moving, and I want to share it with people. It's still a classic.
Your favorite documentary or movie? Is there one?
Favorite movie? Oh God, movie! Wow, I couldn't even give him like top 20 list, let alone favorite movie.
Documentary? How about that?
Documentary. Okay, just off the top of my head,
Yeah,
there's this incredible one called 7 Up.
Yes, the UK one.
Yes, the UK one.
And then they basically film every 7 years.
Every 7 years, a bunch of
bunch
kids that they got together from age 7, I guess, or from birth or whatever it was. Every 7 years, they catch up with these bunch of individuals.
It's on my list. Have not watched.
I used to. It's probably on YouTube. Probably you can catch up on YouTube. It's just incredible. It's just incredible and very moving, actually, because you see, there's some kids who, when they were in like age 7 or age 14, were full of life and showed so much promise. And then the next time you see them 7 years later, there was this one guy. I think he had mental issues. He just dropped out of society, became a recluse, moved up to Scotland somewhere, and he developed this physical oddity. He couldn't walk without like skipping.
Oh.
And jobless. And where as a child he was just full of life and full of joy.
7 Up.
7 Up, yeah, just incredible. I mean the discipline and the challenge to follow a bunch of people. It's like the film Boyhood, but then for real.
Yes. Any local film or director that should be given more recognition?
Ken Kwek.
Ken Kwek.
Ken Kwek. I've had the good fortune to know this guy as a friend for some years now. I've had the good fortune to work with him on 3 occasions. One on a short film called Sex, Violence, Family Values, which was banned and then eventually reinstated. And then one of his screenplays called The Blue Mansion. And then I did a film with him a couple of years back called Unlucky Plaza. Very talented writer-director. but not underrated and underappreciated in Singapore, and really should be given much more support.
So if one were to look at his film, which one should one start with?
Sex, violence, family values.
Okay, there we go. What have you purchased recently under 100 that has most impacted your life in the last 6 months?
What have I purchased for under 100?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. What have I purchased?
Oh, we can skip that. We can come back to that later if there isn't any that strike you.
A tub of whey protein that I haven't even opened. That I hope will make an impact on me if I start going to the gym.
What is the worst advice you see or hear being dispensed in your world or your circle?
The worst advice is let's talk about it tomorrow. I don't know if that's even advice, but I just very irritated when I just get very irritated when people say that. No, let's talk about it now. We gotta talk about it now. There's no time like the present.
Any advice for you're 51, so maybe you're 20 and
My 20-year-old self?
Yes, and 30, and place us where you're at.
20-year-old, probably don't play with your hair so much. Yeah.
And that's when you're in the army. Is that what it is?
It was very army because after BMT, when I was able to kind of grow it out, I was always trying to kind of put shit on it, and I'm just lucky to have hair. I'm just glad that I still have hair right now. I'm just that's certainly one thing to be very, very thankful for.
When you think of the word successful, who came into your mind and why?
Oh, wow. The thing with the word successful. Probably Mick Jagger. Because he's, I don't know what, 128 years old and he's still rocking. And, you know, he's still getting the ladies. And he's still doing what he loves, you know? He's still doing what he loves. I think, you know, if you can do that, and I've always told my two sons this as well, if you can do what you love as your means of making a living, that's success. That is success.
Are there any routines or habits that you find important? Morning or evening routines?
I don't know about important, but I sadly I've become one of those people who just before bed I'm on my iPad. That's a terrible, terrible habit. Stop it. I have to stop it. I have to stop it. You have just made me decide to stop it.
Great. Great advice is to not put it in the same room as where you're sleeping.
That's what I said. Even
the phone. Buy a alarm clock.
Yeah. What's the guy's name who did that great speech about millennials? He made a lot of sense. Yes, made a lot of sense. Yeah, charge your phone in the living room.
So anything else?
Habit.
Or routine, morning? No?
No,
that's all right.
Speech of habit.
Yeah.
No.
What are some of the most common misconceptions about you or your work?
Oh God, there's loads. There's too many. There's too many.
Is there anyone that you want to clear? Just for the record.
That I speak Chinese. Because I sweat blood, okay, and I sweat blood and I shit blood to learn all those lines I had to learn for all the Mandarin dramas I had to do. It was just an incredibly stressful time for me. So now when I go out and people expect me to speak Mandarin, it's always like, why you don't look at, that was just acting. That was just acting.
All right. So, final last question before we come out to your project. Are there any asks or requests for the audience? Any last parting words?
The world's going down the toilet, so treat one another with kindness, and with compassion, and understanding, and come and see Pandemonium shows.
All right, yeah. Tell us about the project that's coming up. What's upcoming?
What we're going to start rehearsals on in a couple of weeks is a play called The Pillow Man, which is a play that Tracy and I did together 10 years ago, and it's one play that people keep requesting for us to restage, and we've always resisted it. But then we realized last year that, oh my God, 2017, it'll be 10 years since we did it, so 10th anniversary would be good reason to revive it, and we were glad to do it because it's just an incredible script. One of the absolute best pieces of writing I've ever read or had the privilege to work on. The writing will blow your mind. It blows my mind now, even as I read it again. The plotting, it's funny as hell, it's scary as hell, and it's strangely moving as well.
Can you describe Pillow Man in like 2 sentences?
A writer of short stories gets hauled in by the police to be questioned in connection with a series of child murders.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, hey, bring your family.
Where can people find you or your projects on the interweb?
On the interweb, you will probably find me lurking around our Facebook page, Pandemonium's Facebook page, as well as our website, pandemonium.com. I very, very rarely even dip my toe into my own private Facebook pages because they were created by someone for me, unknown to me. But yes, social media, a little bit antisocial.
Okay,
yeah.
There we go. We're done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Adrian.
Oh, I need to pee.